History has always been obsessed with the men who held swords, be it the warriors, the kings, and the conquerors. But what about a woman who slept straight for 14 years so that her husband could protect someone else's love story? What about the woman who became the most dangerous enemy for the most powerful empire in the world? And certainly, what about three sisters who, on the edge of broken nation, the newly born nation, made three different choices that could cost everything for them? तीन किताबें, तीन different कहानियाँ, कुछ from ancient history and कुछ from modern. And all these three stories are going to leave you with the devastating question: what does it actually cost a woman to love someone well? You know Ramayana, everyone does. Ram, Ravan, Lanka, the war and the victory. Forest of Enchantment, Chitra, Banerjee, Devarkaruni. It's the story of Ramayana from Sita's perspective, and that is why it is Sitayan. And this story is just not only about Sita. It's about Kaushalya, whose only wish in the entire epic was to be loved and cherished by her husband and Ram, her son. Not to be obeyed, not to be worshipped, just loved. This story is about Mandodari, who knew that her husband's ego is going to destroy her entire beautiful kingdom. And she still chooses to be loyal. She still chooses to be with him and watched her kingdom dying. This story is certainly about Urmila, who watched her husband going to an exile for 14 years and chooses to stay back against her will. This one is my favorite actually, because the god of Nindra has bargained with Lakshman that he could stay awake for 14 years, the entire night, and protect his bhabi and bhaiya, Ram, if someone else could sleep for him. And Urmila said yes. While the world knows the patience of Sita and the courage of Ram and Lakshman's love for his brother, whereas Urmila, who made this sacrifice by taking the exhaustion of her husband and sleeping in her palace straight for 14 years. And still, she is lesser known character of Ramayana until now. But what about a woman who refuses to be forgotten and was punished for it? Maharaja Ranjit Singh has built the most powerful empire in the Indian subcontinent, and he had many wives. But his last queen, Zidan Kaur, she was a kennel keeper daughter. And when he met her, he found the one he actually was looking for. So she became his last queen. And after Maharaja Ranjit Singh passed, this queen, Zidan, has become entirely different person. She became the queen mother, the regent, and the protector of his sahib and son's throne. British ke according, she became the most powerful woman of the entire Punjab. They called her the Messalina of Punjab. Intentionally, it was insult, but what exactly they meant was she cannot be conquered. She became the mother of the Khalsa. Britishers, जो पूरे इंडिया में इतना आतंक मचा के रखा था, they were actually afraid of this woman. So जब Britishers जीत नहीं पाए जिदान कौर से, so उन्होंने दुलीप, जिदान कौर का बेटा, उसको दूर कर दिया and जिदान कौर को imprison कर दिया. Dulip was separated from her mother and he was living with an English family. And this English family was raising him to be English and to completely forget about his own mother and the motherland. But Zidan Kaur, she ran away from the imprisonment to Nepal. There she took the refugee and was preparing herself with all her might so that she could go back to her son Dulip. And she was also supporting the freedom struggle, whatever she was left with. Zidan lost her son to an empire. But what happens when the empire is finally gone and the three sisters still has to decide what to do with what is left for them? August 1946, Direct Action Day. It was the most devastating day during the independence. On that day, these sisters' lives changed completely. Priya, Jamini and Deepa, born from same mother, in the same household and has taken three different choices. Priya, being the eldest one, decided to follow her father's footstep to be a doctor. She was in love, she was engaged to the love of her life, and she has a dream. And guess what she chooses to follow her dream? She knew that she would never be herself if she doesn't follow that. It was for the cause. But at the time of independence, it was really difficult for a woman to be doctor. She failed in India, but then she made the bold move to go to America and study medical. Deepa made a completely opposite choice. She chooses to be with the love of her life and she chooses to follow him to a very new devastating nation. Whereas Jamini, she chooses to stay back. She chooses to be with her mother. I think इंडिपेंडेंस में जो जामिनी का कैरेक्टर है वो एक वुमन के रो इमोशंस को बहुत ही अच्छी तरीके से दिखाया गया है बिकॉज शी लव्ड हर सिस्टर एंड शी वॉज ऑलवेज there for her mother, and she was also jealous with her sisters for choosing and to following what they were following. From Jamini we actually learned that staying is also a choice, staying is also a sacrifice, and staying is also a very brave move. Urmila, Jidan, Jamini, Priya and Deepa और तीन different दुनिया और कहानियां, but they made a very similar choices. The choices out of love, the choices where they have to give up their own comfort. And I think it's a story with everyone. For me, these three books are the act of refusal. And these three books has put the woman in the center. Let me know which one you have liked the most or which character you relate to the most. I would really like to know about that in the comment section. So if you really like to know more such stories or where we talk about books, so please subscribe my channel and leave a like.